All right, thanks, John. A recent article from the Wall Street Journal talks about, quote, new hope for children with cancer. More than 80% of children with cancers are cured. But this article refers to a new law which requires pharmaceutical companies to test cancer drugs on children as well as adults. However, the journal reports that some pediatric cancers resist treatment and doctors have few courses to recommend. That includes blood cancers like childhood leukemia. We know you've heard of it. It's a terrible disease. It's the most common form of cancer in kids. Dr. Nick Coniglio, a pediatric oncologist, told the journal, quote, "It is a nightmare for families who have no options with certain kinds of leukemia." Well, the new drug research sparked this law, and it's expected to help, but it's also expensive. There are deadly other forms of blood cancers, too, in addition to leukemia. Here's a look at some of them. Let's take a look. There is leukemia, there's lymphoma, there's Hodgkin's disease, and there's also myeloma. These are the blood cancers. Right now, there are more than 1.2 million people, there's more than 1.2 million people in this country either living with blood cancer or they're in remission from a blood cancer. One of them is joining me right now. His name is Rendina. He's a good friend. He's also the president and CEO, the CEO and founder, or one of the founders of Rendina Healthcare Real Estate. Also with me, Nick Coniglio. He's the owner of E.R. Bradley's Saloon and Cucina, a couple legendary Palm Beach restaurants. If you're ever in the area, you have to check them down. But Rich is also a lymphoma survivor, and I'm pleased to have you guys here with us to talk about everything you're doing for blood cancer research. Good to have you here.
Thanks, John. Nice to be here.
All right, Rich, you know, your dad died of brain cancer. Shortly after that, I remember you telling me you had cancer too. It was like a gut punch for me watching one of my friends go through this after losing his dad. I can only imagine what it was like for you. Talk about how that experience drives your advocacy for cancer.
Well, your world gets flipped upside down all over again. And one of the big drivers for me and why I've been so active in the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and their annual gala is that my prognosis and chances for a cure were very high, 65 to 70%. Whereas, for my father with a glioblastoma, brain cancer, probably less than 1%. Now, 15, 20 years before I was diagnosed, it would have been a totally different percentage and a much lower percentage chance of me being cured or going into remission. So seeing that blood cancer had translated into a cure for me has motivated me to want to continue to support the research and the funding to help others get access to new clinical trial drugs that are going to help create cures for other types of blood cancers.
I actually found a New York Times article talking about just that with heart disease, and I'll talk about that in a second, but I want to take a look at some other facts that people might not know about brain cancer. Let's take a look here. Every 9 minutes, someone in the U.S. dies from blood cancer. That's about 58,000 people each year. The survival rates, in your case, Rich, you're one of the lucky ones. They have improved drastically over the last 20 years, but there's no mammography machine for blood cancer. There's no test you can go to, like for a lot of men, they can go to a doctor and get a test for prostate cancer. Nick, talk to us about why this money is so important, raising this money. The care seems to be getting better, much better, but the diagnosis is still tough. Talk about how that money can be applied.
There's so many advancements coming along with the funding, but one of the most important things for me, and one of the reasons why I stood beside and behind Rich for such a long time, since he's been cured, is that you need a support team, and you need a team of friends, family, supporting you along the way, personally, and then also in the medical field as well. Right. And I feel like we're right behind the doctors in a way, and there's a great community effort in West Palm Beach and with the oncology there. I think it's called Post-Pediatric Oncology Support Team. Mm-hmm. And we visited there. And, to your point with the leukemia children, I mean, it's amazing to see what a team can do. Right. And to bring up the spirits and really help out families. And so that's what we're doing. We're here behind Rich and his family, and we always will be.
That's one of the unique things about LLS around the country is the support staff and the events they do hold to raise money, not just awareness. Folks might be familiar with the Light the Night events. They've seen these. There's video of this, people getting together. That's supposed to signify the darkest moments when you find out you or a loved one has cancer. This is the another one of the events here, the team and training events where people get together and they do marathons and triathlons and things like that to raise money for cancer research. But going back to what you were saying, Rich, about how you had a cure for your non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, still not one for brain cancer yet, but we found this New York Times article here that was written last year. It talked about how research that was funded in part by LLS discovered a link between leukemia and heart disease, and now they're working on curing that. So that's so critical that this money, blood cancers, it has the ability to help other illnesses as well.
And it's something I love to talk about, and one of the great reasons to support blood cancer research is that it translates into other type of cancer research, because the blood is much easier to work with than soft tissue. So it starts in the blood, and it's translated. It's a great example with the heart and heart disease. And there's also other types of cancers that have been cured or have had clinical trial drugs or new drugs come out of what had started with blood cancer research. So it's kind of a stopgap, catch-all in terms of supporting cancer research when you're supporting Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
Good place to know that your money is going to be well used and go to good use. Rich, Rendina, Nick Coniglio, thanks guys for being here. To find out more information about the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, all you have to do is go to lls.org. They could really use your donations. Again, go to lls.org. We'll be right back.